You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, we're definitely back. I have completely recovered, I guess, from my honeymoon week and my wedding week and all of that jazz. And you all have been following all of the, celebrations and festivities. I've been making it a point to make a nice smooth transition back into, I guess, reality, because it really felt like, I was in fantasy land in a good way with my, of course, new husband. It's been a incredible first week of marriage, and it's been so lovely, all of the nice gifts and thoughtfulness from folks. I was just doing a little online shopping because I got a lot of online gift cards, and a really great, lovely listener named Candace, she listens to this show. She was at the live recording, got to meet in person. She gave me this lovely gift card from 13 Loon, and they're incredible, y'all. Yeah, they're so awesome. This is a black and brown beauty supply store online, but they sell only products from black and brown skincare professionals. So, for example, I bought toner from Cylon, which I love. They sell that toner on there, and that's for black men. They have stuff for all genders: toners, face creams, face mists. What else did I get? I got toner. I got a serum. They had a really good serum on there. They have everything on this website, and they're on social media. They spelled themselves as 13, like the full 13, not the number, and Lune, Lune, and they're incredible. I'm obsessed. Candace put me onto something I had not heard anything about. I was buying individual companies, but this place is like a bazaar. They have all of the different black and brown owned skincare products there, and they have free shipping if you spend over $75. They have, initial 10% off if you're a first time customer. Listen, I was doing all the discounts and everything. I stocked up. They have some really great products and very affordable, reasonably priced. It was very decent. I mean, if you are already shopping on some of these skincare lines and stuff, why don't you just support, beauty suppliers of color that are doing the work? And this is one of those things that I tell people all the time, that you can support, communities of color and support diversity in a very integrated way that doesn't feel so performative. There are several companies that are now, creating sites. I mean, this is incredible. There's Black and Mobile that has the food apps, but there's other places that are starting to create these very cool niche websites and situations where you can just buy naturally without feeling like you're making a huge departure from the norm. And this website is definitely that. So I'm in love with it, and I was so happy because I was already buying, as you all know, I'm a big fan of Cylon, which is Ceylon, and I buy all of their toners and stuff for my skin anyway. And when I found out they were on this website and I could buy stuff that is not in their regimen, like the serums and things, this was incredible. So shout out to Candace for that lovely gift, and so many of you all who was very thoughtful throughout this entire experience. I mean, Kelly gave me tons of gifts. And it was just all the thoughtfulness and the wines and everything was just fabulous. So I'm super, super elated. Finally, getting in processing, that hump of I was in a hotel, y'all, for an entire week, nearly 2 weeks. I was at the Le Meridien for the wedding party. My wedding party, that was our host hotel. And then I was at the Four Seasons. So it was nearly 2 weeks of being in a hotel. So I had my luggage and stuff coming home. The exciting thing was I didn't run up the electricity bill. This year would be lower, or this month. But I was just oh my goodness, adjusting back to normal. The one thing I was happy about, and this is just random, but I was so happy that my sheets and things were clean before I left. I know before you travel, my grandmas always say you need to clean your house before you travel, because when you come home, you really appreciate it. There are times where I just was I have to go, I have to get on the plane, I have to go somewhere, I didn't have time. and then you come home and you're like, oh shit. But this was a situation where we was like, we're going to be gone for an extended period of time. Mentally, it's going to feel refreshing to come in here and everything is like where it should be. And that's exactly what the feeling was. Like I walk, I was like, oh, it smells good here. It's chill. Okay. Trash was taken. Everything was just ready. It was like a new honeymoon, new home, new situation. The house was entering in husbands. We had walked out bachelors, came home husbands, and it was quite nice. So, now we're in an unpacking phase. Like, so we've been washing clothes and doing a bunch of stuff like that. And, just adjusting and everything. But everyone's like, how do you feel? I'm like, I feel fucking fabulous. Like, I don't know what to say. Everyone's like, how do you feel being married now? I feel great. Fucking incredible. I don't know. I want to say it's a stupid question. It's just that it's like when you're asked the same question so many times. I remember like leading up to the wedding, I was bumping into people in the street, which is just like sometimes the best thing in the world because people tell you the most heartfelt things, or sometimes it's like the most what the fuck moment. So, like, as you know earlier, leading up to the wedding, I, ran into the jeweler who was doing our wedding rings, and it was just such a heartfelt moment. She was just telling me how she has a young son who's, I think, around like maybe my younger brother's age, around 11, 12, 13, around that age, adolescence. And, he's gay. And he was getting bullied at school a lot, of course. And she was just saying that, he's been having a hard time. And one of the things that she was doing, when she talks to him is that sometimes he feels down about, who he is and, thinking like, is this going to be the rest of his life? Just this type of experience. And she would show him my Instagram page and he would just see all these pictures of, Barry and I and me and my friends, and it would give him this signal of hope. And apparently she's been guiding him along the journey of our wedding leading up to it at that point. And she was, she cried and she was just like, you don't know that your posts save lives. And it's definitely have made an impression on her son. And that just felt different for me to hear that. Because in many ways, it's like I'm a role model. And that was definitely not what I was set out to do in a way, but you just don't realize how sometimes the stuff that has become normal for you is still a goal or dream or something for someone else. And I took a moment there, and I am still processing a lot of those type of thoughts. I mean, I don't get too in my head like I'm a role model. Because essentially I do what I do and I be who I am. But if it does have that effect on people, which it clearly has, those are like the additional cherries on the cupcake and the additional whipped cream and toppings that I don't think about when I'm doing the work I do. Like I think about impact, but I don't think about it in the way of like how this is going to influence people personally. I'm always thinking about it institutionally. And it's special, to sometimes have those moments where like, oh, well, this made a personal impact on someone. It's making them feel good about themselves in a different type of way than what I had set off to do. So it was very humbling and something that just really, it really stuck with me. So I think, yeah, I was very happy about that. And, those are the good encounters. But the annoying encounters are when I bump into people that are just like, oh my goodness, you're getting married in a couple of days. Are you nervous? No, I'm not. And I was not nervous. I wasn't nervous because I don't know. I wasn't nervous. My head was, the crazy part was I was never nervous about the union itself. I was never nervous about getting married. The whole process was not about that. My nerves came more so from just, and I wasn't outwardly about this, but just like hoping that everything went planned. Like that there wasn't going to be a craziness. Like going to the ceremony, it wasn't going to be people with their phones out. But like hoping that the phones were not going to go off, which they didn't. And just hoping that there was just going to be no ridiculous disruptions or anything stupid. And, that's what I was thinking. Like I had moments like, I don't know. I never said this out loud, but like I was having those like, what I call wedding nightmares where you're just thinking the worst could have something crazy going to happen. Like I just was thinking like, oh, I'm going to get married and there are going to be some protesters that's going to come to the Penn Museum, or there's going to be some crazy racist idiot that's gonna find out where my wedding was and yell out stupid shit outside the gate. Like I didn't know what to expect. And that's why I kept the venue private. I was very intentional with keeping the venue private because I just did not want to put it out there in a way because people out here are ignorant and are crazy. Like there's complete, total, and utter assholes. One example was like on Penn Museum, they posted on Penn Museum the wedding, a picture of our wedding, and there were two trolls on there that got in the comments like, oh, Ernest is a disgrace to the gay community in Philadelphia, and this other person was like Penn Museum, and this person who only had like less than I don't know how many followers, like not any, like a random account, no posts. So basically, someone created a trolling post like, "I'm gonna unsubscribe." It's like, well, you're not even a real person. You're just a troll. Like you don't even exist. But people always do that whole "I'm gonna unsubscribe." And then this one guy who runs an Instagram account called Philadelphia, he made this nasty post saying that like, oh, he's a racist egomaniac. Do better, Penn Museum. I feel bad for his husband. First of all, don't even use my husband's name in your mouth. What are you doing? And I'm going to tell you a story about this guy. His name is David Rosenbaum. And what's crazy about this is that this is what I'm at this point in my life where I'm not going to deal with trolls, bullies, people that do these types of things and throw stones out their hands and don't actually, acknowledge who they are, right? So Philadelphia, because that was the person who commented under the post. This is a page that is posts a lot of photography and stuff for Philadelphia. But behind there is a guy named Dave Rosenbaum, who used to be a part of the Millennial Advisory Committee for the city of Philadelphia. And he has a photography company, I think it's called Dave Rosenbaum Photography, whatnot. This guy has been a troll for several years towards me. And it started from the most pettiest thing ever. Because see, at this point, when you are 30 and you just don't give any fucks, you basically tell people what it is, because I'm not playing those games in my 30s. And I'm definitely not playing those games at this point in my life. So if you're going to be a bully, step up and speak up. We don't do the passive aggressive shit over here. So this guy, right, who's behind this Instagram page, he has some old beef with me because he was on the Millennial Advisory Committee. This was several years ago. I think this is back to 2017, 18, maybe shorter than that. It was a long time ago. And the crazy fake thing about it was that I went to a tasting. He was invited. I guess he was like an influencer of sorts, and we were in King of Prussia. And I don't even know who this guy is. I never knew who he was or anything. I was at an event, at this tasting event, it was in daytime. I never forget all of this. I see this man, don't know his name, don't know who he is. And I was like, hey, hi, what's up? He says hello to me. I sit across. Don't know him, y'all. I never spoke to this man. Couldn't connect any dots. He's friendly to me. He says hello. I say hello back. Classy. Everything's cool. This is why I tell people, you never know how fake people can be or how weird people can be. During the entire time in which he sees me, he's Facebook posting about seeing me at this event. And it's like, oh my goodness, I'm at an event with Ernest, the Christine Flowers of Philadelphia, or the whatever he was saying. Compare me to this very conservative white woman who spews a lot of racist stuff and says crazy things. Which, of course, as you all know, I'm not that dude. I'm not that woman. I'm not that person. But whatever. He's talking all this trash on Facebook. One of my best friends who knew him through some circles saw this post. She screenshots me. She says, Ernest, first of all, she calls me, Ernest goes to the bathroom right now. I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on? She says, go to the restroom. You're at this restaurant. Go to the... I'm like, how does she even know I was here? She says, Ernest, go to the restroom. I go to the restroom. Lock the door. She says, call me. I call her. She says, yo, this guy is talking shit about you at this event that you're at right now. I said, who? Ain't that many people here. Girl, listen, y'all. She showed me the screenshot of the post he made on Facebook, what he was saying, showed me the picture of the person. I was like, yo, whoa. I didn't even say anything to this guy. Like, what is he doing? Child, he was just talking crazy. So you know what I did? I went back down, sat down, kept my composure, said nothing else, kept it cool, act like I didn't know anything. Y'all, I went took my ass back home, right? Get out the scene. And I let everybody know this is what happens when you go to events. This is what fake people do. And I called him out. I put everything on the table. I said, this man said all this shit on the social, but when he saw me in person, he didn't say anything. So let's back up what had happened. I had wrote an op-ed at the time that criticized just very like I was just talking about millennials needing to step up in general and do different things. And there was one little line where I said that the Millennial Action Committee could do a lot more. And at that time, I felt that way. That's my opinion. I am a journalist. I have a right to have an opinion. I don't understand. I basically was like, look, this is, I feel like a lot of these task forces and groups and committees and all the advisory commissions or commissions, I guess they are, that the mayor creates, a lot of times there's no real backbone to them. Oftentimes I feel like they are subservient to the mayor. Like a lot of times the people that get appointed, they're groupies or fans or crazy about being in this position, and they're not really doing the necessary work. Like if you're at a millennial advisory committee, right? We are the highest demographic, the voting block of the city. We have a lot of power. You don't feel any of that power from those committees. They do a lot of softball stuff. They do a lot of things. And that's just, and listen, I've been there. I've been tokenized. I've been exploited in ways from groups and people. So I'm not acting like I've never been in the mix of things like that before. I mean, it happens to us all. But I just had made a remark about like how they could, be a lot more. They could do more. But whatever reason, at the time, the woman who was the chair of that group, which I'm really good friends with her ex-husband. And fun fact, they got married at Penn Museum many years ago. It wasn't as fabulous as mine, according to her ex-husband. And the funny thing about it is that the ex-husband, who I'm really cool with, he came with his new fiance. So he's living a better life and doing so much better than what he was with before, because Lord knows his previous wife, she definitely was not the nicest person. And I think that history reflects that. And so he was there with his fiance, who's a lovely woman, and she was so sweet. And they had a good time. And it was fun to him to come back, because he hadn't been back since that, since everything. So, just a little background. So anyway, this situation happens, and I write this piece, and apparently, she had sent the email out to all the advisory members. They was having a meltdown about it. Everyone was so mad that I had called them out. It was this big old drama. And this is the Philadelphia scandal. Clearly, this is the Philly scandal episode, so we're right on topic. But they were upset. And apparently, this individual who was a part of the group at the time, he had a grudge. And so that was his opportunity to throw his slug. And he's been apparently throwing slugs ever since. Many years later, I'm getting married, and this dude is in a comment post. He hides under this Instagram called Philadelphia, which if you go to the Penn Museum Instagram and you see the post they put of the wedding where there's tons of hundreds of likes and positive feedback, you will see his nasty comment unless he deleted it. He might have deleted it. But I said to myself, you know what? I felt like I wanted to, I was like, normally, and most times I do what they say, turn the other cheek. But there's times where you're like, you know what? I'm tired of your shit. I'm tired of the bullying. I'm tired of some people who should know better that just think they can say whatever they want. And I said, you know what? I'm going to say something, because sometimes it's important to stand up to people, especially, white men who just feel entitled to having to have something to say all the time. Listen, I don't care if it was my worst enemy. I will never talk about someone during their wedding. Okay? Malcolm Kenyatta I don't like this guy, Malcolm Kenyatta. People know that. That's public. He doesn't like me either. But I will say this. When he gets married, if he gets married again, who knows? But he's getting engaged. When he has his wedding, ain't saying a damn thing, because that ain't none of my business, right? Do you, boo-boo? This is second marriage. Congratulations. Hopefully it lasts. But you ain't gonna see me throw no shade. I'm not saying anything about it. He can have it at the Wawa that's closed down at Broad, and I will not say a damn thing, because I just believe there is a true separation between church and state when it comes to people's lives. And especially when it deals with stuff that's happy. Don't be a bitter, hating ass bitch. Just don't be that person. For anybody, for anything. Don't be that person. No bitch assness. Just absolutely don't. And I think some people really don't understand that, because they're so caught up in their own insecurities, or they just won't let go of things. I don't know what I did to David Rosenbaum, that an op-ed that had nothing to do about him, but about one particular thing got him so in his feelings. I try to tell you, the power and impact of journalism is something. The lightest stuff you can write can get people in their feelings and obsessed that they would go on an Instagram post about your wedding years later and still be talking shit. It's wild. But this is what it's like to be, I guess, a public figure. Like, people will never give up. People will always be pressed, and that's what I've learned from this experience. So yeah, their page is Philadelphia. It's ILLADELPHIA. That's Philadelphia, and I guess they call us as a tour agency or something. But they put up posts or whatever like that, like of Philadelphia, and the posts are decent, I suppose. Like, people like them. They got followers. People follow their page. I have nearly twice as many followers as them, but they have a little page where they put up photography, and that's great. Do that. Why would you use that page to get on Philly Penn Museum? And you didn't think I was gonna know? I don't understand why black people think that you can block a person and that their fans or followers won't tell you. Like, it's just embarrassing and it's just unnecessary. And I just like, I gotta say something. So my comment, which is still up there, is that I said, they said, quote, "Don't celebrate a racist egomaniac. I feel terrible for his husband. You're a museum. What's the point of this? Do better, Penn Museum." And they tagged Penn Museum. First of all, Penn Museum is my alma mater. I went to Penn. My husband and I went to Penn. We paid for that venue. We dropped money. We had a wedding there. That's the connection. I guess you're just not used to seeing Black excellence. But to my point, I commented and said, "Oh no, not David Rosenblum of Philadelphia, still trolling me after all these years. Some bitter things never change. I hope he one day finds a ring and a life." And I put the laughy emoji. Just saying, don't do it. Just be cool. Why people do that? Why people have to be such a hater? Like why? It's like, to me, it's like there's a line. And I mean, you can criticize politicians. See, the thing about me is that I'm going to critique people who are bullies. I'm going to critique people with power. And I'm going to critique racists and homophobes and bigots. That's who I go for. That's what I go for. You're a regular degular person. I don't care. I don't care. I would have said nothing if this man wasn't going to be a complete and total jerk. But like, people do this all the time. And it's this pattern. And it's something about, I don't know, I get at the skin of white men. Specifically, white men. And sometimes a couple of Karens. But there is this notion, specifically with white men and white men across the board, white straight men, white gay men. There is something about my presence, my confidence, that makes them piss on themselves. It's like there's plenty of annoying, insufferable white men who are in journalism that say things that does not grind their gears like I do. And it is racially influenced, because how dare does this 30-year-old Ivy League fucking grad get to be gay and happy and have joy and talk shit and make money, and I sit here in my white mediocrity and can't figure out why the fuck that's not me, because he's not supposed to be there. That's their mentality. And so they lash out in ways, they troll, they do hateful things because they can't get over themselves. You can always just be silent. You can always just go and eat your fucking avocado toast and ride a bike. But no, you choose to talk shit, and they're not used to that. And I am blessed and highly favored to have the support of great white people that have been comrades in trolling out these people. The funny thing is, it was actually a white person who sent me that and told me who it was and what it was and let me know the receipts. It was actually a white person who called the phone and told me, "Ernest, go in the bathroom." See, that's the funny thing about it, is that there are a lot of white people who think that racist white people in Philly, or problematic white people in Philly, or annoying trolling white people in Philadelphia, pick your pick, that think that they are saying something in community with a bunch of people that agree with them. And maybe there are some, but oftentimes not that many as much, that they think that there's this collective census that hates Ernest Owens and hates the things that I do. Well, guess what? It's not as many as you might think, because I'm still standing, baby. Still standing. So, I want to open up my show to talk about Philly scandals. I was thinking of a topic for a minute, and while I was going, I was like, oh, I want to pick from the news. There's different things going on. Alec Baldwin out here killing people. Colin Powell passed away. Next. Stuff was going on in the world. The Democrats are just fucking dropping the ball. I don't know what Biden is doing right now. Good God. Gas prices are going up. I don't know because I'm an Uber girl. And speaking of Uber, I hit Diamond, the highest ranked rating. I've been on Ubers that much that I've now gotten the highest peak of Uber rides. I was like, do I get a sweatshirt? Do I get a special? No, just better premium rides. But so what I did notice a pattern was that I saw a lot of stuff going on in Philadelphia that was making national headlines. And I just was like, there needs to be a really good Philly scandal show. And I felt like there's so much going on in Philly right now that there is national implication. So if for my national listeners, folks that are not in Philadelphia, you all know some of this stuff because it's all over the internet. And I was like, I want to do an episode just about Philly scandals because they are rocking the nation. And so that's what inspired this incredible, fun episode. And we're on episode 41. Not to be confused with all of the episodes I've done, but we've done about 50 episodes this year, y'all. 50. I've done about 50, and this is episode 41, but you all know that the other episodes I've been doing in the past couple of weeks have been a lot of bonus episodes. So if you add all those up, it's about 50 episodes. But as far as this episodic, programming, this is the 41st episode. I've been that consistent, y'all. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of y'all. Because listen, if you all were not listening to these episodes, I would not do them. But you all keep doing, and it keeps getting on the charts, and people are continuing to spread the word. And it's really have created its own massive following. So again, I can't thank you enough. But Philly scandals. So the minor scandal, which is that you all were calling me out because I went to Hamilton this week. And many of you all have listened to the podcast, and you know how much I despise Hamilton. So this was a nice wedding gift that someone gave me. The seats I got, I was on row B, y'all. I don't like the front row of tickets. Fun fact, anybody who's a real theater goer knows this. You can, no shade to people that get front row tickets, but if you're a real theater goer, you do not get the front row seats. If you're really trying to maximize it, the goal is to get a couple of seats up, maybe a row B, a row C, and you want to get in that center, that sweet spot. And I was Barry and I were put in the center. And we had a couple rows up, the perfect seats, where I got to see everything. Okay, when you up front, it's a little too in your face. Anything can happen, and it's also a little weird. And then you're right next to the orchestra; they get a little loud. You got to have a little distance. I don't know. I prefer that. Those are the best seats in the house to me. It's not the front row. Real thespians know this because I used to do theater when I was in high school, and I also did some off. Right before I went to college, I did off-Broadway shows, but not in New York. But I did like stage plays, or I don't know why they call them stage plays, because only plays can be staged, but they used to call them stage plays. But I used to do professional theater that was not connected to school and was getting paid, and did a couple of shows, not too many. But I really did love acting, and I talked about that on my last couple podcasts about acting and myself. But I do enjoy good TV. I do enjoy good acting, and I can tell a difference between a stage actor versus, and you see, it's appropriate to say stage actor versus stage play. A play by default is on a stage. At least that's my opinion. But stage actors versus TV actors, and you could tell the ones who can make the transitions, like Laura Linney or Kate Winslet, actors who could do both. I mean, Meryl Streep is a perfect example of that. But anyway, I digress. So I went to see Hamilton. It was a gift. The seats were nice. So it was the second night. It was not the opening night. Opening night shows, personally, I'm not crazy about. Again, this is another thespian thing. Opening shows, I feel like it's fun, it's exciting, but then at the same time, there's wrinkles and things that people need to shake off. The best shows typically are the second, third show after the fact. Like the second show typically is good because they've gotten used to the audience and things, and they typically bring another level of energy. So second shows is always better than the opening night shows. Again, pro tips. These things I think people get hype about because we try to market it like movies, like opening night of a movie. Well, the movie's been already done, so yeah, you want to be the first to see the movie, or But with again with plays and live shows, energy and all of those things is very different, very very different. Like if you look at it, like for me, even going on a tour, like looking at a music concert or a music tour of an artist, I try not to go the first exact night. I try to go, if I get in that sweet middle or something when there's a flow and they're not too tired, but they're also at a point where they've done some tweaking or something doesn't work or the audience isn't receiving a joke a certain way or effect. All of that stuff gets ironed out, but you have to wait a couple rounds. But again, went to see Hamilton. Um, and my thoughts about Hamilton still remain the same. This is what I will say though, because I watched it with Barry, so I want to know what his perspective was. We both agree. So let me just say this about the show. Like, if you're just talking about a show, we're just talking about the show, not the content yet. We're just talking about the show. The show is great. The singing is fun. Lots of energy. People are like, who likes what act more? Some people say like the first act more than the second act. I thought I liked the second act more than the first act. It's weird. It's weird. I would say watching it live, I definitely understand why Leslie Odom Jr.'s character, Aaron Burr, which again, this is not the original cast, but I definitely understand why he won Best Lead Actor over the character who plays Alexander Hamilton. That's just the personal take. I felt like the Aaron Burr character was more fleshed out and nuanced to me. Even though Alexander Hamilton's character was a more flashier character, the Aaron Burr character definitely, to me, it was something, I don't know. I just felt like that role was more nuanced and was well played. And the actor who played him was incredible. I liked everybody in the show. It was a great time. A woman from Kappa had one of the principal characters, and she was great. I think she was Angelica. I think she was. She was incredible. It was a great show. I thought that as far as production wise, we're saying the set was beautiful. The dancing was on part. They definitely know their choreography on beat. Like they know the marks. They have the marks on beat. The singing was really good. The rapping, the flowing, they hit their marks. So as far as a revival go, it was a pretty good damn revival. I thought that it was, I thought that performance wise as a show, it's good. It's a good show. I get the hype. I mean, it was packed. When I tell you everybody was in there. Everybody up on the highest floors, even the nosebleeds. That place was packed. Like Hamilton, people just loved them some Hamilton, and we were sitting next to. And this is what leads me into my critique of the show, the actually content. We were sitting next to a white couple that was there, and first of all, this woman, I think it was like her fifth time seeing the show. She done followed the show from DC to New York. She's a big Hamilton fan. Like there's a cult Hamilton stan group. I'm very much aware that they do. I call them the Scammingtons. No, I'm joking. But they love them some Hamilton. Okay, I mean the merchandise and the gear, the T-shirts, and oh my goodness, it was a riot. I mean, I haven't felt this much excitement since Wicked. And I will tell you something. I'm a Wicked stan. Now, that's some good theater. Now, I love Wicked. I love Wicked. Now, you want to talk about because there's a certain group of Broadway fans. You got the Lion King people. The Lion King folks are crazy about there's some diehard Lion King fans. Then you got the Wicked crew who just love Wicked. I'm a part of the Wicked crew. Like, I'm the person that loves Wicked. I get it. I think it's fun. Avenue Q beat it at the Tonys. We're not even going to talk about it. But Wicked is to me that's Broadway. When I think of Broadway, I think of Wicked. But my favorite all time Broadway musical is Chicago. Oh, I love Chicago. I live, eat, breathe Chicago. Chicago is Broadway. There would be no, Chicago is the definitive like Broadway musical for me. That's my favorite musical. And it also lost too. See, all the good ones lose. It lost to some show. And that show also was legendary. But it was, there was a lot of good shows that people loved back in those days when they used to really make really good Broadway shows. I think about the shows that, Lion King is good. Lion King won, it won Best Musical at the Tonys. But I think about all the shows that didn't win and all the shows that did over the years. But like I said, I thought Wicked definitely deserved, um, but it didn't. It went to Avenue Q, which is about puppets, and I just think about all of the other shows that came. What is other shows that people really like that's popular on Broadway, like Broadway iconic? Phantom of the Opera. I like Phantom of the Opera. I like that. Cats are it's okay. Not the movie. The movie's horrible, but I'm thinking about other shows um, that just has that. I mean, it's not too many. Rent, which is Rent. When I first saw the Rent movie, I was hype about it, but it's become interesting. You know, mm, so many different thoughts about that. When The Color Purple was a good one, I did love The Color Purple. Um, so I think about it. So people are talking about it. So it's interesting because I'm looking at lists and things of people that were talking about like popular musicals that won or should have won. Like people talk about a chorus line. Oh, that's what it was, a chorus line, which is a very popular Broadway musical. Um, but a chorus line lost. I don't know, won over Chicago, which again we all know. So like for example, West Side Story, popular musical, lost to The Music Man. Gypsy lost to Filarillo, which I guess is okay. Hair lost to 1776. Grease lost to Chicago lost to a chorus line. Dreamgirls, oh my God. Dreamgirls lost to Nine. Into the Woods lost to the Phantom of the Opera, which it should have, but Into the Woods is very good. Into the Woods is one of my favorites, okay? Oh my goodness. Miss Saigon lost to the Will Rogers Follies, which is ridiculous. Mamma Mia lost to Thoroughly Modern Millie, but that was also really good too. And then Wicked lost to Avenue Q. So there's a couple popular musicals that's lost. Iconic ones, and again, random. But anyway, back to the show, Hamilton. My issue with Hamilton is the content. It just still does not sit well with me that they use actors of color to tell this very white story that historically there's elements and issues. Like, I mean, a black man playing or a man of color playing Thomas Jefferson just completely eviscerates the whole Sally Hemings story and narrative, which Sally Hemings doesn't even have a really shiny role. Like, apparently there's a person playing her character, but it's kind of vague and it gets washed over. You're supposed to look at these people as heroes, but they're really trash. Like, Thomas Jefferson is a horrible person, but like he's played up in this very like funny, whimsical person. And that just didn't sit well with me. Still does not. And it's an issue that I have with Manuel Miranda, who does this, who's the creator of this show. I just feel like the concept is like one of those things where if you told somebody the idea, you're like, oh, that's funny in theory, but this should not have worked. And I think there's a part of it where I'm like, why do white folks love Hamilton so much? And I think it's because it is this fake narrative about history that makes it feel like diversity. It's when diversity goes wrong. Like, yes, I want plays and musicals that have diversity inclusion, but not in ways that begin to somewhat celebrate our fucking slave-holding, problematic white men and characters. Like, you don't diversify white stories. You don't, like, that is that's history, right? Like, there's shows, right? There's plays. Like, Wicked does not have to be played by white people. It does not have to be played by white people. West Side Story does not have to be played by white people, even though there's a narrative within it that, to a certain extent, there needs to be people of color in that show, or people that are not just English speakers. There's like, you can't talk about, like, it's immigrants in that story. You can't, there's a way that there has to be built-in diversity, especially when we're talking about the New York, like In the Heights. Oh my God. Well, In the Heights, the show was great, but the movie, a good example of like how you have to have diversity in that film, like diversity of Afro-Latinos, and you cannot whitewash it. And that was a controversy that happened around that when he did the film adaptation, which was not a fan, let's just say that. But like I think of like Phantom Opera. Phantom Opera doesn't have to be white, right? These are fantasies that could be diverse. But when you're doing a story about history, it's and especially given the fact that they're trying to act like this is going to be something for kids. No, absolutely not. It is to me, it's almost like there is so much satire because there's a lot of details that they didn't include in it. And I get it. I'm not trying to be that historian type of person, but I do feel like this narrative of, oh, take the kids to see Hamilton on a field trip to learn about history, that is so fucked up. There are going to be kids that are really thinking that Thomas Jefferson could be black or just like race matters. Race matters. And it's just like, I think about, everyone wants to talk about the kids, but no, there is something that we're trying to make these people cool like that. I don't think that's appropriate. And there's been a lot of that going on. There was a history in the 2010s because Hamilton, I feel like slightly, and I'm going to have to say this, I think the musical is a little dated now. I think it's dated in the sense of how we as a society have evolved in our thinking of history and how history should be taught, it should be explained. I think Hamilton is a relic of the early 2010s when we had this notion that, hip hop can be infused in this way. And I don't know. I just feel like, first of all, hip hop came from enslaved people. And you have a fucking slave owner who raped a black slave, right? Rapping. Not cool. Not cool. It's just, you could tell that Hamilton was not created by a black person. That's all I gotta say. You can tell that a black person did not make Hamilton. You can tell that a black person with an understanding of history and art and culture, right? That understand history. Like Questlove would have never created Hamilton. No real hip hop artist or linguist that is black, right, that came from that kind of ancestry would have created Hamilton. Now, they did Holla If You Hear Me. You remember that Tupac musical that was short-lived? It's okay if you don't remember it because Broadway didn't allow it to happen. It's so funny because hip-hop on Broadway was never really embraced until Hamilton. Until a non-black person created Hamilton. Right, created something that was palpable for white people. So hip hop was only used when we were telling a white man's story. So I got to get woke here real quick. When we said a black story, right, and we were trying to do hip hop in that way, it wasn't embraced. But there's something about white folks loving to rap that get the people going. It's just something about it. They just love to incorporate it, and it's like for them, it's a currency. It's a cool hip currency. And there's a level where I think with Lynn was a genius in making it not, and it's that horrible things can be created by geniuses, that he knew that he was going to win various people with it, right? He was going to win white people who, to a certain extent, love history, quote unquote. It's going to win over young people who want to see something different. It's going to win over art snobs who will see hip hop only in art museums and theaters like Broadway, right? He knew the audience. The audience, this is the type of show, I call it McDonald's. It's a McDonald's for the masses. This is McDonald's theater where it's the most basic level appeals that can cross sector, right? The working class love Hamilton, the elite love Hamilton. It's got that universal appeal, right? Because that's how McDonald's is or was to so many people, right? Where the richest people in the world enjoy McDonald's, but so have the poorest people. And Hamilton has that crossover appeal where it's giving everybody something that they want or giving them illusion, right? Because he's selling the American dream, which is a bunch of baloney. Like Hamilton is selling this idea, like this whole young, scrappy, and hungry. The country was young, scrappy, and hungry? No, the country was, the country was definitely not just young, scrappy, and hungry. It was very exploiting, rapey, and horny. And definitely was fucking everybody who was living here before we came. Okay? This was not a young, scrappy, and hungry country. This was a very young, rapey, and horny country. Exploiting land, taking shit away from natives that had this land before them, putting my people up here, black and brown folks up here for slave work, exploiting, okay? Acting like Alexander Hamilton was just this great old Alexander Hamilton was pushing genocide. Thomas Jefferson was passively doing the same. They got fucking George Washington. See, I hate this show. George Washington over here acting like he's just the man. Like he's Mr. Neutral, Mr. Positive. Motherfucker was having teeth with slave teeth. He was wearing fake wigs and teeth, talking about honesty and cherry trees. Fuck him. Again, it was a lot. It was almost like they put all these characters in black and brown face so that you couldn't hate them. Because I was watching the Thomas Jefferson character, and then he also played Lafayette in the beginning of the show, and I was like, okay, he's so funny. But I'm like, wait a minute, this motherfucker is Thomas Jefferson. I should not be clapping. But that's what they did. They literally black and brown faced all of these problematic figures in history. So in yellow face too, because the guy who was playing George Washington is Asian. It's such a problem. But you all are going to go see the show, buy tickets, and continue to talk about Alexander Hamilton. And I'm just going to sit and I'm just going to whatever. And I watched the show because I'm not wasteful. I know, the hypocrisy, right? I watched the show because I wasn't going to waste those tickets. It was a thoughtful gift. And I wasn't going to be like, no, ma'am. I was like, oh. But also, too, I wanted to watch it in full, like a live production, so I could be able to critique it this way. Because I was critiquing it based off of the Disney Plus version. It was kind of interesting to see it. I didn't give a dime to it. Someone else did, but I used the ticket. You know what? And I want to thank the person who gifted me those tickets. Let me be very clear. Thank you for those tickets. But I want to tell you something right now. When Hadestown comes out in February, by all means, if you want to give me some tickets to Hadestown, which has a diverse cast with a better storyline, I will definitely take them and go. Okay? Let me just let you all know. I will go to any show that's not Hamilton. Any show. Hadestown, Phantom. What's else coming? What's coming out this year? I think Dear Evan Hansen. We'll see about Dear Evan Hansen. But, I like shows. But Little Mermaid's coming out this winter. I love The Little Mermaid. I don't know if I like the production now. It's one of the weaker Disney productions. No Aladdin. Okay, it's no Beauty and the Beast, which I did see many years ago when that came to Philly. But anyway, I just thank you. I'm happy. The person knows I'm happy. I told them I appreciate the thoughtfulness, and it was a great seat, and it was a fun show, to be in the room where it happens. Okay, so that's the lighter Philly scandals. Let's get on with it. So this Bobby Heenan situation, Johnny Doc. Have you all been following this? If you haven't, I get it. It's a little boring, but then it isn't boring, but it's important because this is a major moment in Philadelphia right now. A major moment. So John Doherty, or Johnny Doc, is the leader of the Local 98. The Local 98 is the largest independent group that has been politically fundraising in Philadelphia and across Pennsylvania. They, support various candidates across both party lines, but they're big in Philadelphia because they represent the building trades, the big construction workers and the unions, and they got some real major power. And Johnny Doc is, depending on who you talk to, I think he deserves his own show. There could be a whole show, like a Succession or something like that, about this character, this man, what union is. I'm waiting for an HBO drama that includes union bosses or leaders or whatever, because labor bosses are just interesting to me. The more and more I begin to cover politics and just explore it, the power they really hold. These are the real power makers here. These are the real king makers here, okay? It's not your favorite politicians that's somewhere in the Northwest. It's really these people that control the money. And labor has a lot of money in Philadelphia. This is a very young, scrappy, and hungry city. Anyway, he was in a room where it happens all the time. And he was basically someone who everybody knows. Okay? And he has had his rivals, like the Teamsters. But he's powerful. And some of the biggest people that in this town, he put on. Okay? Helen Gim would not be a city council member at large without Johnny Doc's money and his influence. He whipped the Northeast to supporting her. And that's what cost Isaiah Thomas the seat when he ran a second time back in 2015. That's my opinion. And I think the analysis and the data would show that as well. Okay? Helen Gim would have not been there. Who, and it's interesting because we'll get to Helen in that in a minute. But anyway, Jim Kenney completely is his, he's definitely his foot cushion. Johnny Doc, tells Kenney, get me an apple. Kenney responds back, what flavor? Honey Crisp, Granny Smith. Big Red, which one you want? That's the kind of relationship that Doherty has in these politics. His brother is in the courts on the state level, on the Pennsylvania level. Um, he's I mean, most of your favorite city council people, not all of them, like Maria Quino Sanchez, like not all of them, let me clarify, are fans of Johnny Doc. But a lot of them are. A lot of them get Local 98 money, and a lot of them know how powerful this union is. So he's been leading it, and there's been several accusations that these are accusations allegedly, but he's in suits. He's facing 3 cases right now. 3! Some that involves, corruption of funds, intimidation, physical threats, all kind of, misusing money. I mean, it's a lot of stuff he's being accused of right now. He's got three court cases. Right now, he's experiencing his biggest ones, which is alongside council member Bobby Heenan. Now, Bobby Heenan is from the Northeast. He is there. He serves on the board of Local 98. Was getting a nice little salary and getting paid to be on that seat. I think it was like over $70,000 a year, in addition to his over $100,000 salary he was getting at city council. Okay, so he's getting some money. And that's legal. There's a bunch of city council members that also get paid in other roles and other things outside of their political seat. That's not against the law in Philadelphia, even though it is rather questionable to some extent. Like, how far does their political, interest lean, and what's going on? Is it a conflict of interest, right? In this case, that's what the feds are claiming, right? The feds are claiming that basically the reason why he's in his first lawsuit is they're claiming that Johnny Doc basically put Heenan, who was formerly working with the Local 98 before he got the seat, that he was basically a puppet for him, that he was used as a person to negotiate political deals with bribes, and that he used the Heenan seat allegedly as a way to maneuver through benefits that would benefit him politically, and also, and I'm talking about he as in Johnny Doc politically, and also other deals. So, for example, the soda tax. You would not have gotten the soda tax passed without Johnny Doc's influence. Let's just be very clear. Local 98 supported it because the Teamsters, which is a rival union group, were against it. And so they say that, allegedly, that Johnny Doc used Heenan to try to, get support and try to really get the confirmation of city council on board to fuck over the Teamsters. And that was something that was based off of an ad that was created during that time. And this was like back in 2000 and, oh my goodness, 16, 17. And as you all know, I've always been personally against the soda tax from the very, very beginning. And I'm so happy that 5 years later, I can now say I was right about it, because I knew it was a shit show to begin with. And a lot of people were mad at me. They said, oh, you don't support public education. You know who was singing the soda tax up everybody? Was Helen Gim. Helen Gim was like singing that soda tax to everybody. Like, oh, the soda tax this. And really, one of the ugly things that she did, which is interesting, because look who was also pushing that soda tax. Interesting. One of the things that she did that really was annoying was that she almost create this nasty narrative that if you did not support the soda tax, you did not support public schools. As somebody who grew up in public schools my entire life, okay? Never went to private school, charter school, I wonder what schools her kids go to. Do their kids go to public, like actual public schools? Like, let's be clear, not Masterman public schools. I'm talking like public schools. Does her kids go to public schools their entire time? She's also the woman who created a charter school. Interesting. Interesting questions that should be asked when she runs for mayor, allegedly. But anyway, she, was basically pushing that narrative, and Bobby Heenan was pushing the soda tax, and a lot of people in city council were. But Maria Quino Sanchez, I must say, was very steadfast in not supporting that soda tax. And other people have continued to put out information. Rebecca Reinhardt's office, City Controller's office, power reports. They just shows you how faulty a lot of the soda tax stuff has been. And there are some people that are allegedly running for mayor that are not supporting the soda tax. I mean, Jeff Brown is one of them. I don't know if he has really strong chances of winning, but the man is apparently in these streets, campaigning. He owns Fresh Grocer, ShopRite, all of that. Brown's, that's his business. He was a big he was very much against the soda tax from the very beginning, imagining given the fact that he owns grocery stores. But a lot of people was against it for different reasons. But it was interesting about the people who were and the questions of why. Former NAACP Philadelphia president Rodney Muhammad, I did some reporting on him, like what was going on the back end. He was a paid consultant from Kenny's PAC while also receiving money from a PAC that was supporting the soda tax, while at the same time going on TV and going to media championing the soda tax at the same time. It was a lot of conflict of interest, okay? Yes, even our own black leaders were looking like they were being bought and sold, allegedly, during this time. So, back to Bobby. So, Bobby, he comes into this position through the support, of course, of Doc. Doc is pushing him. And there's lots of transcripts, phone calls recorded that just look like this was an entire quid pro quo. Now, I would say that Bobby's defense and me and him arguing that it wasn't him being, influenced or swayed. It was a friend looking out for a friend. They were just having conversations. And now the jury has to decide, right? Was this relationship, was this political? Was this politically motivated? Or was it just a friend, just listen to a friend? Was it any quid pro quo? I mean, personally, I call bullshit. I think it's too much smoke, it's too much fire. My opinion is that, first of all, regardless of whatever the outcome of this is, I can't call it. You never know nowadays with jurors, okay? There's a lot of white cops that then kill innocent black people that should have been behind bars that those families didn't get the justice they thought they could get. So I don't know what the courts are going to do. I don't know if they're going to find Doc, or Heenan innocent. Let me just say this, though, that what I will say is that Doc has been adamant that he's innocent. He said that there will be no charges. He was very confident. We talked to the press when the hearings began. And he was just like, he is 100% innocent and there's no wrongdoing. And Heenan has said the same thing. They've completely has said that they're innocent, and they're sticking with that. That's what they're saying. So, on that front. However, the evidence that has been used and been referenced, all these phone calls with Jim Kenney, which apparently Mayor Jim Kenney's team says that he has not been called in to be a witness. Interesting. But he's in a lot of these calls, and I'm like, bruh, what's going on here? What's going on? Something don't smell right. There was speculation there was a probe many years ago into like whatever was going on and how many times the feds came and got Johnny Doc. It was a lot going on during that time. And I don't know. I just think I'm waiting for that shoe to drop. So far, the evidence is, looking really interesting. Stuff about Comcast. Everybody's in this damn story. Hell, they might reference an article from me in the dams. I don't even know shit. Everybody's just being referenced in this case. This is a big ass case. And I just think that I don't predict that this will end bloodless. There will be some blood on the floor. There will be blood. I definitely think there will be some mess. This is not going to end like everybody's fine, everyone leaves this situation completely touchless. Somebody's going to take this fall. And I don't know who. It's too early to tell. But all I will say is that I've been watching this case. I've been following the trial. I've been keeping my thoughts to myself. Sometimes I want to live tweet these. I say, I'm just going to sit back and observe. And I just think there's going to be a shoe dropper moment. I think there's going to be something that's going to come up. And it's going to just be like a whoa, what the fuck? I just think that's going to be the moment, and I'm waiting for it. But there's just too much going on. And Kenny keeps losing people like he's losing his hair. My goodness, every time I turn around, there's a new person his team left. His communication director, he's got a new one he's about to get ready to put on board. I'm like, damn, what is going on over there? It's just like the emperor has no clothes and looking like he has no skin either. So it's getting bad over there. So, just letting you know. Just letting you know. Because, woo. Okay, woo. Woo. That's all I gotta say. So, I guess I could move on to my my next Philly scandal, which isn't really much of a scandal. Well, slightly, perhaps. This situation with Ben Simmons, it's not a scandal, but it is a scandal because I just feel like, what the fuck? I don't really follow sports. I'm one of those gays who don't really get all into sports. I don't like the NFL. Fuck the NFL all day, every day. Okay. It's not about go Eagles or go Cowboys. It's really just I just can't support the institution of the NFL. I just don't see it. I don't see it for the NFL. But I will say that the NBA has been getting a lot of news for various reasons. First of all, I just would be remiss if I don't talk about this Kyrie Irving thing. See, Kyrie Irving it broke my heart. He has these moments. They all have these moments, right? Where I'm all for athletes being woke. I'm all for athletes, you know, speaking up. And Kyrie Irving sometimes makes some good points about some things. Some things, okay? But then they have these moments where they just go to completely hotep. And I don't know what is going on with Kyrie Irving. I don't know what's going on with a lot of these players. But this whole vaccination thing, god damn. It is, listen, we are in the fall of 2021, not the fall of 2020, the fall of 2021. At this point, Pfizer has completely been FDA approved. Okay, FDA has approved it. Booster shots are now coming down the pipeline. Folks are getting booster shots. People are trying to, the cases are dropping in Philadelphia, which I'm so happy about. My wedding, I can officially say, because I haven't even knock on wood, but there has been no illnesses or COVID-related incidents connected to my wedding. Now, let me be very clear. My wedding was fully vaxxed. However, people was like, oh, what about breakthrough cases or other things? Everybody's well. It's been over a week, and everybody's in good health and good faith. So I'm so happy that fully vaxxed events are being successful. Okay, I couldn't breathe fully until the week after because I wanted to make sure that everything about this wedding went out hitch. There's no debts, there's nothing. Look at me talking about the wedding gift. All right, but just saying, it's a good timely reference. I'm happy about that. But what I'm not happy about is what I'm hearing around Kyrie Irving. He's playing into this. Okay, so back up around Kyrie Irving. He's a black player. Has definitely been speaking out about racial injustice and issues in the league. The NBA, and has in many ways have been outspoken, and in ways I've appreciated his radical transparency and him speaking out. But he's had a couple of moments where he's just been a little too, how do I put it, dumb. And those moments have definitely distracted from a lot of the positive, progressive stuff that he's talked about, which is why it's really weird for me right now. I mean, not voting, talking about not voting. I remember when Kaepernick was talking about voting. I was like, listen, this election is a little too serious for y'all to be questioning voting now. Sit down, shut up. But the other stuff, though, those points were very refreshing. But this vaccination thing, I mean, he's very much acting like he's taking this big stand on not getting vaccinated. And he says the NBA made deals and promises. But listen, as time progressed in the pandemic, these breakthroughs and everything else that was happening, the variants and stuff, there was some real fear and hesitancy, around it. Things are getting better because people are getting better, right? They're getting vaccinated. They're still wearing masks. I'm still wearing a mask. My mask has now become my favorite fashion accessory. I got my flu shot. I'm just taking good care of myself. And I'm happy to see other people are taking care of themselves. But it's sad because I'm looking at him like, dude, you have such a widespread audience. And even like LeBron, his the way he's acted around the pandemic. It's like, what fucking planet are y'all on? What we have to understand, and I'm going to make this very clear, very crystal clear, is that this pandemic has ravished a lot of black and brown bodies, working class bodies, poor people who have, immune compromised health, right? To continue to push narratives that remain skeptical of the vaccine when so many lives have been lost, it's like I can't. It's irresponsible. A lot of this is the kind of rhetoric that I hear white men use, right, to describe incidents of racism. They'll always talk about an outlier case or something that stood out or one probability or one possibility and all these other random things to distract from real conversations, real conversations about mental health, or people getting access to healthcare, disparities, racial disparities, socioeconomic disparities connected to a lot of these issues. They leave out all of these other real conversations to try to make these very irrelevant points or distractor points. And I feel like that's what's happening, is that a lot of people just won't admit they're babies. You're a baby. You're scared. You're scared to get a vaccination. You're scared to get vaccinated. You're scared to get, these things. Say that. You can say that, but to try to sit up and, you know, talk all this shit and all of this crap and say, it's really hard for me to take a lot of that seriously, personally. It's a lot, because I've seen so many people come into this business, and I've seen people lose their lives. I in this industry, we've lost a lot of in journalism. I'm speaking on journalism industry. We've lost a lot of great, incredible, legendary journalists that were in their 60s and 70s based on COVID complications. And it's hard because some of them I know that passed over the past several months. Some of them I know didn't get vaccinated because they had this hesitancy, right? And when I see these pivotal, athletes, Black athletes and celebrities, right, continue to push that hesitancy when people are listening and dying. And I'm not saying that the blood is on their hands solely, but I am saying that they are a part of the problem and not the solution. And right now, we have to be responsible. We have to continue to let people know that there is a pandemic that's still alive and well. There has been lots of progress, but there's still a pandemic. There's still a virus out there. And we're not going to get closer to it until we get serious about vaccinations universally. These mandates, I'm happy for them. I think that a lot of the people that are, bitching about these mandates are people who are privileged, people who are not used to having to follow rules or are not being told they're not above it. And I think the sad thing about Kyrie Irving is that he's always talking about, marginalized people and oppressed and stuff. But it's like, dude, we're the ones out here, okay, marginalized communities, working class people, everyday people who are dying the most from this. And it's people like you who are whining about your health. Listen, if you have a complication, you are rich enough to probably get that, treated and addressed than other folks. But I sometimes hate that about celebrity culture, that they sometimes try so hard to act like they're like us when their circumstances are not like ours. It's just true. And it's time for people to act their wage, for real. And not in the way of like working class people balling out of control. I'm talking about rich people trying to act like they don't hold more power than what they have. They do. Rich people have power. Rich people have influence. Rich people have sway. And it's reckless when you see people like him that try so hard to act like he's the everyday man when he ain't got everyday man money. And I just have to keep it 100. I don't like it. I've really been upset about it. I know that's not a Philly scandal, but that's just something that was on my heart. Now, back to the Philly scandal. This man, Ben Simmons, who I believe is vaccinated, he's not that dumb, but this man just continues to troll Philadelphia. He is the Philly troll. He's the absolute Philly troll. And you know what? I was never crazy about him when he came to Philly. Everybody was all hype about Mr. Simmons, and he was dating what Kendall Jenner. I keep getting genders. Freudian slip. I keep getting the Jenners confused. They are completely a mess. And just first of all, Kris Jenner, right? A hot mess. But then you have, Kylie, who just keeps doing what she's doing. I mean, I'm just tired of all of the blackfishing, y'all. If you know what blackfishing, we talked about blackfishing on the previous episode, but I'm just tired of the blackfishing. I'm just tired of the accessorizing of Black people. culture. I'm just tired of it. Caitlyn Jenner became the racist, xenophobic bigot that I knew she was, and tried to tell people that we got to talk about intersectionality more. Just because a person is transgender does not mean that their, I guess, some solidarity or alignment with with the transgender community, translates to them being an ally to various religious groups, various racial groups, and other groups. Like, I keep telling people that, like, white gay men in Philadelphia, a lot of them, not all of them, but a great number of them hate me. Okay, like David Rosenbaum, I think he's a white gay man, hates me. I don't know if he is or not, but I thought he was. But people like him hate men like me. They don't like black people like me. They have something to say about people like me, and then you wonder why they talk about people like me all the time. It's just a bias for me, and I think that's Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw, when she invented this term around intersectionality, it was supposed to let people understand that one identity does not speak to another. Primarily when she was talking about black women specifically in her research, but people have then gone on to recognize it for other communities. But you don't get one identity is different from another. And I think that gets missing in a lot of these conversations. But I digress. Ben Simmons came in dating Kendall Jenner, a hot mess. I think they went to Butcher and Singer. They were caught at one time, I think, which is a good restaurant. He's got good food taste. But he just has been a troll since. I mean, he really doesn't want to be in Philadelphia. They're keeping him here. It's an entrapment. He's trolling, but he's making millions. And he just sucks. And he talks about comparing himself to other teams he could be on. I mean, can the man make a shot? Like, can you make a shot? I mean, these are real first world problems here, but it's just become the stench of the city. Even, like I said, gays like myself who do not care about sports like that, it's just become a nightmare. And just hearing the stories. I mean, he got kicked off of the practice. He didn't wear the right clothes. He just looks random. He looks so confused. He just looks so displaced. And for whatever reasons, everyone's talking about what he should do. Make him a better player, then give him away. And it's just much. And I even the way that the players are moved, I feel like it's like a slave trade almost, how they trade players and stuff. It just seems so weird to me. Basketball is weird. Sports is weird. Fuck the NFL, but you know how it goes. But what a mess. What a mess. But speaking of real messes, like real messes, I cannot talk enough about this situation with SEPTA. Now, this has gone viral. This has gone viral. This has been even in the shade room. This has made international news. And I got to tell people, it's a lot of crazy shit going on. And words cannot describe the anger I have. It definitely made me upset. It's definitely, been crazy and nuts for a minute. And it's, it's a lot. So one of the things that have really, okay, let's back this up a little bit. So I have to give myself some composure here, because it's been a lot, and and let me just say this. I have put my feelings in words. So I am writing an op-ed that's coming out for very soon for Philadelphia Magazine, because I just really saw a lot of interesting things take place regarding this situation. And it really was like a whoa, what's going on? So let's back up a little bit. One of the things that really stood out to me was how this story became viral. The narrative is, and there's some truth to the narrative, and then there's some stuff that isn't true. So let's be clear about all the details. So one of the things that got talked about a lot was A woman got raped. Unfortunately, this is so sad. And let me just put out here real quickly. It's like trigger warning for people who are victims of sexual abuse or rape. I'm just gonna put my trigger warning before I get into this story. Okay. So a woman was riding on the Market Frankfurt L, and she was going through 69th Street through Upper Darby, I believe, that popular Market Frankfurt L, the SEPTA train. And there was a man who had made several advances towards her. And he eventually, after being denied, raped her on the train. This happened in broad, not daylight, but like while other people were riding the train. Late at night, around 10 o'clock, 11 p.m.-ish, it was late night. And during this entire time, there was initial reports from the police. Okay, let's be clear. The police, the SEPTA police, the people that was the authorities, that was claiming that, people were watching this happen and did not, say anything. That they were watching this happen on the train, and no one was doing anything to stop it. Everyone was watching, and even went as far to say that people took their cell phones out and was recording the entire situation. Which is wild. Which is completely wild. Okay? I was like, what? What the fuck? Now, when I started seeing all these headlines, I just was like, this don't make sense. This doesn't make any sense. Like, I was like, nah, something about this isn't right. I'm like, this is not Philadelphia. I'm just going to say, like, Philadelphia, Philadelphia clearly has its scandals, right? But it was something about this situation that just didn't make any sense. So you mean to tell me that it's around 11 o'clock at night, late at night, a woman is getting raped on a train, and passengers are looking and just looking, not saying anything, didn't report anything, just taking their cell phones out and recording it. Now, if we know the type of people who get on there, that's working class folks. That's black and brown people mostly on the SEPTA, right? This is a majority black and brown city. I've been on SEPTA late at night a couple of times, not during the pandemic, but prior, and it's a very interesting segment of the city that's on those trains. It is not, a bunch of rich yuppies on that damn train at night. Like, it's a very particular community of working class black and brown folks that are often on that train late at night, especially on the market on the Market Frankfurt L. Okay, that's a very it's a clear demographic. Get on there, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm sitting here and I'm like, nah, this ain't the Philly I know. Because listen, one thing about Philly, and I would say this just from my experience, Philly does not play with women getting assaulted or harassed or whatever in public spaces. There is, every time I've seen, at least for myself, I can speak for what I've seen. If there's a woman being bothered or something on a train, normally somebody is going to say something to the person that's doing it. It's just how Philly rolls. If there's something weird going on a train, a plane, a public space, or something in Philly people don't know how to mind their own business. And it can be to their default, but sometimes to their benefit. Like, Philly don't mind its business. It doesn't. Philly does not mind its business. Like, if you go to a store and somebody's yelling at somebody, whatever, somebody's going to come over there and say, is everything all good? You okay, sis? Something's going to be said. That's just how Philly is. This is not Idaho or Montana. Like, this is fucking Philadelphia. People do not just sit by and watch people get raped on camera. Like, now, shit like that is taking place in some Ivy League colleges with rich, white boys that are not from here. But that doesn't happen in public life in Philadelphia. I've never seen anything like that, clearly, but I've never heard of anything like that happening. Not in public space. And so that just was like, this is not, this don't sound right. this doesn't feel right. Like I've seen situations that was not rape. I've seen like a woman, like I've been one of those guys where I've seen a woman walking by and she's getting harassed and I will go up and say something. Like that's just who we are here. This is regardless of politics and race, that is just what happens. I've seen it happen several times. People will call somebody else or another woman will say something. Like I just cannot envision that this was a busy train and just folks just didn't say anything. But they had their cameras out though. Bullshit. I just did not. It didn't sit well. People kept sending me. Oh my god. Sometimes I love y'all, but y'all get on my nerves. Sometimes sending me this stuff. I was on my honeymoon. Leave me the fuck alone. I see it. I see everything. I am the media. Like people kept sitting me. I'm like, this is traumatic as fuck. And I just was like, can I enjoy my time? And I hate is when people do the preface. Oh, I know you're enjoying your vacation, but no, you don't. No, you don't know. No, you don't care. Because if you did, you would have never said anything. You would have never sent it. I hate when people put these stupid disclaimers of concern and care, but then still want to give something. This is not important. I know you're on your vacation, but no, if you're saying a but, that means you don't fucking care about the before because you would have not sent it. If it's not important, you would have waited. So shut the fuck up and just send whatever you're going to send. No, I felt like that a couple times. I ain't gonna hold you. I got a lot of people that did this whole, I know that, shut up and just send it or don't send it. But whatever you do, save me the very fake and phony disclaimers. And this is for a lot of people. Like, y'all know y'all get those where people send you all that. And stop it. Stop putting a ribbon on something that you already know you're going to open up and demolish anyway. That just gets on my nerves all the time. I'm just like, get on with it. And also sometimes there's times where people just send me stuff. I'm like, ugh. Like, anyway, it was a lot of that. I did get people who attempted to disrupt my wedding weekend. And I was like, nope. I didn't send automatic. I wasn't going to be that person who's going to send those automatic emails to people because, I still get them. But I just feel like some stuff is just not important to respond to all the time. I've been really being mindful of respecting my time. Like, everything does not deserve an immediate response or reaction. Sometimes they don't deserve a reaction. There are times I just look at stuff and say, I'm not responding to that. I don't have to. Not going to entertain it. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. I'm not going to dignify this. I'm not going to even... I've already said what I need to say. Sometimes I'm like that because you'll find yourself going down a rabbit hole. So I knew it was bullshit. And I was trying to figure out, where did this come from? Did the victim say this happened? Did she say this happened? Did she witness this happening? Is there video footage? Like, is there a viral video? I was just doing my research and none of those things came to light. It was just these police that was making these claims. Well, later this week, there was a news story that came out from the district attorney in Delaware County, because this incident, I guess, is being taken up by authorities there versus Philadelphia. So Krasner, who's a DA of Philadelphia, is not involved in this because the way this incident took place and how it took place and where it took place at. It's like the intersection of Philly, but not Philly. It's, Philadelphia has its neighboring suburbs. So the Delco DA basically said that this was not true, that there was no evidence that supported any type of information that suggested that people had their cell phones out and was recording it, that wasn't true. Okay, so let's just start there. They lied. The cops lied. They lied. It was a lie, y'all. It was a lie. It was an Lied. Lied. They lied. They lied. It was a lie. Lies, falsehoods, fallacies, folklore, no truth. No truth. They were liars. And that needs to be said this way because we in this society spend so much energy and time calling, letting the police say whatever they want to say, and then we run it off as truth. So let's backtrack a little bit on this. So this DA said that there was no evidence that supported this narrative that people were there. He actually went further to say that it appears to be that people clearly could have not seen the incident because of how it happened, that it wasn't like an open, like it seemed like it was probably happening in a seat or something, but that it was so much good. It was multiple, like 8 stops. and that people was consistently going on and off, that there was a strong possibility that there were folks that just didn't even know it was going on, that wasn't even paying attention, that there was so much going on in between that there wasn't even, any way that there could have been, there's a strong possibility, in other words, that people were not seeing it and recording it. And that run, that they had no evidence that it was being recorded, for starters. It's interesting, right? Because one of the people who spoke said that there was evidence, that there was cameras, that there was people filming cameras. And I'm like, where the fuck did that go? And then I believe the Upper Downey or Lower Downey, whatever, the police over there in Delco were like now throwing the other group under the bus, throwing SEPTA under the bus, saying that, oh, this is information they got, so that's what the information they put out. So nobody vetted this information. Nobody confirmed this information. You just put out shit. Oh, so typical of the police to do this. They always lie. Often, yeah, do it often. Like the Weeknd song, often. They lie often. And I'm sitting here like, this is kind of fucked up. So I was wondering, okay, who's going to call it for what it is? Like, who's going to actually say it? Like, in a print, like, police lied. The DA tried to be soft, right? He says, there's this narrative going around. Narrative going around? No. It's not a narrative. It's a lie. It's a lie going around by the police. Like, what do we say? You acting like there's a rumor in the streets. Like someone put the rumor out. No, the police put the rumor out. The reason why people are talking about this is because media, right, ran the narrative, right, that was created, fabricated, right, by the police. And that's how this went viral. This is how this all went out there. It was the police that put out this lie, and this became international news because of how bizarre and shocking it was that a group of what we know to be mostly Black and brown folks was on a train, that we witnessed a rape, filmed it on our cameras, and Philadelphians are full of shit and lack any type of morality. That's what it really was showing. And it, not only that, but they doubled down with saying what kind of world we live in, yada, 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 yada. Excuse the fuck me? They really ran that narrative. They believed it. They believed the lie. They made the lie. It was a big lie. Okay? So, police, now trying to throw SEPTA under the bus. Everybody's not trying to throw each other under the bus or, be like, oh, this came from here. And, there was some miscommunication from their end. No, fucking no. Everybody has a part to play in this. And I think what's been frustrating is that in the industry, media, right, is that we have a lot of people who oftentimes get caught up in situations where they are saying it as law. Like journalists, I'm not one of them, but journalists oftentimes, there is still this codependency on police reports, like as if police reports are just such a very great source of information. There has been several of documents and research that has shown us that police lie. Police lie. Police lie. Police lie. Police do not tell the truth. Police tell fallacies and folklore all the time, that they are oftentimes hiding evidence or misnaming people or situations and just all types of shit. There's lots of corruption. And there's tons of articles. Like, please Google police lying, police lie, police lie, police lie. It's tons of reports and research about this. And the crazy part is that journalists have often ran with police lies. They'll start off headlines with police, blah, 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 blah. Passengers recorded a woman being raped. And they will treat that like it's truth because the police said it. Or they'll say something, or they'll put comma, authorities say, or police say. We have to stop doing that. And this is me talking directly to journalists. We have to stop doing that. We have to stop leading stories based on sole police reports. Okay? It's so funny because I was talking to a friend about this, and that in this incident, right, you have the public, the community. No one would have believed the community. No one would even believe the woman was raped. But you know who they believed? The police. The police can lie. Like, even the victim telling her story may or may not have been believed. The community and the witnesses that saw it or could have saw it, right? They could have not necessarily been believed. But you know who was believed in each case? The police. And they were. Given the benefit of the doubt. No one took a step back to say, this don't sound right. Or let's wait until there's more information. No, we just ran that shit like it was the truth. We just ran it like it was a fact. Like it was just the ultimate truth serum or something. And it wasn't. And now, what's crazy is that for all of the stories that came out that sensationalized the situation, there's very few stories that's going back to counter it, to say, hey, the DA say it wasn't true, or it doesn't appear to be any evidence, or that motherfuckers lied. Like, no one's actually going back to clean up what they've done, because it's like a pillow. It's like a rumor, right? You put it out there in the air. It's hard to go back and chase those feathers out the pillow, because the narrative has already been there. The lie has been there. The damage has been done. And that's sad. That's sad, because that puts a black eye in our city. So this is what people think of us. Or another example of Philly being reckless. Look, Philly can have the most ridiculous, crazy, horse-punching sports teams that tear the city down, like barbarians. But one thing we're not is a group of cowardly bastards filming someone getting raped in our own SEPTA train. That we're not. And the fact that the police thought that was okay to frame that narrative, fuck them. And there should be some serious moment in our newsrooms, right? Where we should take a step back and say, wait a minute, no more. No more just taking their word on it. We need to be scrutinizing them like any other institution, especially the police, given the history of the lying, the misinformation, the cover-ups, the scandals. They are just as flawed as every other institution we have in this city, whether it's our political systems, our politicians, all of these people. Everybody's like, trust but verify. Oh, fuck no. Fuck off. It's verify. It's no trust but verify. I don't trust the police. I verify the information the police gives. Verify it. Verify it. Because how many times have people trust but verified them? And at the end of the day, you trust them, you run it, and then you look like you got egg on your face. I'm so happy that the places that I write for do not run with that story. Because, my goodness, could you imagine all of the backpedaling? I mean, it's so funny. Like, New York Times ran that story. Independent, other, places in Europe ran that story. It was a big story. And now people have to go back and say that's not what happened. And I hope they do. I hope that all these publications that ran that story will go back, but they probably won't. They'll probably move on. They'll probably update their story or something. The damage has been done. It's humiliating. It's frustrating. And it's interesting because now I'm starting to see people do this other thing, right? Which is they don't want to call out who actually did the lying. So Janice Armstrong from the Philadelphia Inquirer, who is a journalist that I've known for many years and admire a lot of her work, she did a piece recently that talked about how, people should, not be so quick to judge and, talking about the situation about how people lost their humility or humanity or lost their sense of trust in Philadelphians and things, that people shouldn't be quick to judge, what happened or people. And this was a lesson to, have good judgment on people. So her title was, on the SEPTA rape case, we were too quick to believe the worst. As usual, there's more to the story. See, the problem that I have with this version is that the police told us this lie, right? I don't blame the public. I think that's the problem I have with this particular piece that she wrote, is that she spends a lot of time getting upset at people believing this. But where did we get the information from? Okay? Don't put the cart before the horse. Let's back up a little bit. Where did people begin to think the worst? We thought the worst because the police told us a lie. People believe the police. That's the problem. And the issue is that the public, listen, everybody's not as woke as myself and people that I know, right? They're not as aware about the problematicness of police. There are still a lot of decent people in the world that sadly still believe that the police is a necessary resource for the shit like this. Clearly, we're beginning to find out more and more that that's not the case. But I just want to clarify that I don't fault people for being lied to. They're the victims in this too. The public was misled. So you can't say that, we were too quick to believe the worst. No, the police were too quick to lie. Okay? It's not the public being too quick to believe the worst. We thought that because that's what the police said. It's their fucking fault. People believe them. There are public taxpayer-funded institution. They lied to us. So you can't fault them for believing them. I wouldn't. And I think that's the problem. Call it for what it is. So that's what my piece is doing. It's calling it for what it is. It's what I think is necessary. I think we should call those type of things out, that people lie, that people mislead people, and that it creates this public disservice. So that's why I stand on it. That's why I stand on it. We got to stop it. We have to start really doing it. And let's talk about the history of police lying in recent history in Philadelphia. Let's talk about the fact that, like a year ago, right, Police Commissioner Daniel Outlaw lied and said that protesters on I-76 were being violent and hostile to the police, and that's why they got tear gassed. And then we found out, actually, they were running for their lives, and the police were just being violent and hostile, and now there's multiple settlements because of it. First major lie of many lies, of course. Oh, let's go to another lie. Let's talk about the Fraternal Order of the Police, the National Fraternal Order of the Police, which is the largest police union in the country. They talked about this woman named Rakia Young, who had a 2-year-old son that she was separated from. They said that, police were protecting this young black boy from a very lawless Philadelphia where they were doing protests against police brutality. But actually what was happening was that Rakia was taken out of her car, dragged out and beaten by police, and she was separated from her child, and those pigs took her baby from her. And then they used it as propaganda on social media, and they, of course, took the post down the next day. Lies. Okay? Let's talk about another lie, right? This shit that we're seeing right now. They claim that innocent Philadelphians were videotaping a rape that took place, and that did not happen. Lies. Police lie. Whether they're a police commissioner or whether they are a police union or whether they're just a regular police group, they lie. And that's the important thing to take away from this. Stop believing everything the police put out there. You have to be as critical of them as they are of us. We're the reason why they even have jobs, and we should be the reason why they should not continue to have as many. Defund the police, because at the end of the day, this is what happens. Right? We're funding them to lie on us. We're funding them to sit up here and trash us and do it. And every single time you get some pro-cop person that's acting like there's some unified way to justify this shit. How do you? How can you? If anybody else fucked at their job as much as they did, they wouldn't have a job. Just putting that out there. So in wrapping up, I have a couple of things. One is that recently there was a tweet that is going viral on my page. Every week something is going viral, and so wedding photos, all that good stuff. So there is a tweet that's going pretty viral on my page. A woman named Brittany said, she shared this weekend. She said, ever since at Mr. Ernest Owens exposed my ex, the child support hearings be so less contentious now. You'd be surprised how journalism creates accountability. Such a sweet tweet. A lot of people want to know what she was talking about. And it just asked me all these questions. And it was definitely very reflective. So what I would say about the incident, because I didn't originally post it, I didn't post it on social. No, I didn't get into details about what happened. And people are like, what's the link to the story? And I have new followers. So podcasters, who's I suppose. So some people may remember this. So last summer during the racial uprisings, there was a pastor in North Philly, black guy, a young guy, who was getting very popular off of the protest. He was going out to speeches and rallies and giving these big old sermons. He was definitely enjoying the limelight. He was just going out making a big old name for himself. And in public eye, this man looked like he was a great guy. Had a wife, a new wife. At the time, had a wife. Well, he still has his wife, but just everything about him looked like, the perfect gentleman. Well, it was brought to my attention that this man had a history of abuse. That he was previously married to a woman that I knew. And this woman is, you see her on Instagram. She's very popular on Twitter. She has her own business. Black woman, owns her own business. She has a lot of professional career development. She worked for the city at one point in time. She's just really, she's got a nice little following. People know who she is. So she's built a reputation. And I did not know who she was previously married to. I didn't know anything about that aspect of her. I just knew her in this way. But people in her circle, including her, tells me like, hey, this man that the press is gassing up and hyping up, this man actually is my ex-husband. He abused me for many years. We have a child together. He was not paying child support. He completely he's a very bad man. His church basically pushed me out. They, basically I was shunned out of his church. I was shunned out of the community. I've been fighting this battle privately in my life. And you just never know what people are going through in their lives. Now, so this was going on behind the scenes, that she was fighting for child support for her child because she was in a very abusive situation, and that there was police reports and everything. So I did my research. I looked at police reports. I did everything. And, in supporting women and supporting her, I spoke up and told people like, hey, this man is not the man he's portraying himself to be, out here in these streets. And this is concerning. I spoke up. I shared the information I knew. And the interesting thing about it is that normally what happens in situations like this is that people will deny. And then, it's just all kinds of stuff that happens. And in some cases, it's legitimate. Like if someone's lying on you, someone's lying on you. But if there's truth here, there's truth here. It just varies. And so he admitted that he confessed on social. He admitted that he made some bad decisions in his past. He apologized, not to me, but to her, to the public. He talked about he was getting some spiritual counseling. He had remarried and all of these things. And she had moved on too. She's got kids now. She remarried too. They both are in their own separate worlds. But she's, getting her child support now. She was saying that now, things have been less contentious because of the public at this point knowing. Because at first they tried to frame her like, she was a liar, she was this, she was that. But once that happened, things are smoother. He's respectful. She's moved on with her life. She's got a way better husband, second husband. He's moved on. He's got another wife now. And there is a more, things are being amicable now. And yeah, I mean, it's weird. And so it's interesting. And she just, tweeted about it and just saying her life has been a lot better. And I'm so caught up in the work sometimes. I never, sometimes know what happens next or whatever happened. But it was like a year later. So, it was just a great update. And yeah, like journalism, impacts people. And good journalism too, right? So that was good. Other things. So I've been watching my shows. The new show I'm into now, I know y'all keep telling me to watch Made. I'll get to Made. I'll watch it. I'm not watching that Squid Games crap. I'm sorry, I just can't. I'm really over like Fight Club-esque gory, violent stuff. The show might be good and thoughtful commentary about comedy. Listen, I read enough books about all that stuff, so I don't really need to watch shows that need to give me more sensibilities. But it might be a great show, whatever. But I don't have the stomach for it, if that makes sense. I just can't with that kind of stuff. But I don't think it sounds like a lot of people like it, and maybe I'll come around to watching it, but I'm not in any rush to. It's just like okay, and also Netflix been pissing me off anyway. To be 100 with you, I'm really not really crazy about Netflix in my life, but I heard about this show Made. I'm gonna try to get to it. But I'm sorry, but I had to, I watched Succession. I am now up to date on Succession. I watched all the first and second season. And let me just say this with catch up with shows. My rule is I was a little scared at first, like, I gotta watch all these shows. But honestly, it was only 2 seasons. I feel like when a show gets past 3 seasons, if you haven't watched it yet, you're just not. Like I'm never gonna get to Game of Thrones. It's just not gonna happen. I'm just never gonna probably watch that show. Other shows to catch up on. I haven't watched The Handmaid's Tale, but Mr. Johnson loves it. But there's just shows that have had so many seasons that you're just never going to catch up, and that's okay, But I definitely got able to catch up on Succession. I love it. I'm Team Kendall. Okay, Team Kendall all day, every day. I'm Team Kendall. I know there's Team Logan, folks. I'm Team Kendall. Let me just say, for starters, I'm not going to talk too much of the show. But yes, it's on HBO Max. Watch all of it. Be up to date. I'm caught up to the season premiere of season 3. Season 3 premiere. So the second episodes come out this Sunday. I know there's another show that's having its final season of Insecure. Let me just say this might be an unpopular opinion, but I personally am not crazy about Insecure. I never could get into it. I just don't. Let me just say this. I am not denying the cultural impact of Insecure. That show should exist. That show was necessary. What did Adele say? Well, Adele's new song, Adele said when she was talking about Beyonce, what that album did to me and my black friends, how it made my black friends feel. You are our light. That's how I feel about Issa Rae. Like I think what it did for the black women that I know and others who love that show is great. I love the excitement they have. I love the enthusiasm they have about it. They deserve a show like that because with all the mediocre shows like Girls and all these other random ass shows, this is a show that needs to be made, and some shows just there needs to be a cultural experience. So I will never take that away from Issa Rae. I will never take that away from the creators. The show did what it needed to do, and it's going to inspire a new wave of similar shows down the road for Black women, especially. So it's a great show for that. Good for them on that. Now, content wise, okay, so this is my opinion about the show outside of its cultural impact. Because nowadays, you have to put disclaimers before people start acting like you just don't like people. Okay, like they would be like, Ernest don't like girls, Ernest don't like black women. Shut up. I write a book about cancel culture, so I already know how this game is played. Y'all would have been like, oh, Ernest said he like girls. Look at him, black men, never supporting black women shit. No, I support girls. I think the show should exist. Now, let me just tell you what I think about the actual show itself on a cultural critic role. Because I am a journalist, and I do analyze shit. I just find the show to be a little premature in its subject matter with the age of the women that's on the show. That's my opinion. I just feel like the age of the actors do not match the scenarios they're in. Like, I just feel like, I don't know, if they were in their 20s, it would make more sense that the kind of drama they're going through will make more sense. But these are people that's in their late 30s and maybe early 40s. I'm just like, y'all too damn old to be acting like this. I don't know. I just think the actors are much more mature and older as people to be in the very childish, silly shit that they're in. I don't know. I think because I'm 30, and so I feel like a lot of the stuff I see on the show, it mirrors more with people in my age group in the 20s. But when I'm looking at these actors, they seem to be more in their 30s. Like, I don't know. I'm 30 now, and I'm not acting like that. I don't know. I'm past that cycle of dating, or at least even my friends are like, when I talk to them about their situations, they're skewing a little bit out of that. Some of the stuff that goes on that show, I feel like it would make sense if younger actors are playing it, not like actors that are like in their teens, but like 22, 23, 24-year-olds and stuff. I feel like that's my conflict with the show, is that I feel like some of the situations and scenarios are very juvenile for their age. Now, if you like the show and you think this is a fair critique, let me know. If you don't, it's fine. I get it. But I don't know. I just don't feel like people in their late 30s are acting like that. At least, I mean, they might be, but I just feel like on a large scale, the characters are more nostalgic of early 20s life, but not so forward in a sense of their age. I don't know. I just feel like Issa's character, is she playing a 25-year-old? I mean, she's flawless looking. I mean, she's definitely her like early 30s, mid 30s. But I'm like, is she playing a younger version? And I say this because I remember 10 years ago when Awkward Black Girl first came out, and we were all in our 20s, early 20s. I think I was 18, 19 when that show was on YouTube. And so she was also that age. She was like 24. Like, she was young too. And so the show made sense then because we was all that age. I think what's weird about it now is that same story has now evolved, but everybody is not growing up. They're still stuck in that world, even though it's been many years past. So that's my, I think, fair critique of the show. And also I don't like that's a petty bar, but like the straight actor who's playing the gay character, and even some of his remarks about it, I was like, sir, no. I wish they just would have just casted a gay actor to play that character. Just a little personal Hollywood, diversity thing. Because I would have played the hell out of him and would have done it way better. I don't know. Straight men playing gay characters is getting old. It's getting old very, very fast. It's really old. Especially cishet characters playing trans characters. I'm just like, y'all, this is not your versatility of the actor moment. This is really like a, make space for inclusion, because clearly Netflix needs to take a note in that and a couple other places, right? So that's my thoughts on that. But as far as Succession goes, love this show. This show is great because listen, I think this is a show that everybody should watch. Not because of like, I mean, the entertainment is there, but because it's a real masterclass in whiteness. It's the case study I make about like why people should, when we talk about race isn't just about studying slavery and black people. It's really about studying white people and whiteness and the power of whiteness. Like it's really a study about whiteness. Like race, we have to understand how whiteness operates in society. Like, seriously. And you're not racist for calling that out, unlike some idiots who call me a racist egomaniac because I talk about racial oppression and how white people have white privilege. And it's 2021 and we should, at this point, know this if we're going to be, on certain committees and groups representing the city. But I digress. But studying whiteness is an important factor. And I think that Secession is an incredible case study on whiteness and white power and how it is unforgiving, relentless, hostile, greedy, and it's so blunt. And I appreciate it. I mean, you could watch it, you could cringe, but then you watch and you realize, oh my God, this is how these people really live. Like this is what they think, and they're unforgiving with it. And I think that was it's. I mean, it could be if you're black, like I mean, depending on how you watch it, you could be a little bit triggered by it and annoyed because you're like, realize like, oh my God, do I really want to watch a show about how white people continue to fuck over the rest of the world? I can see that, not watching that, because we live that reality. So the critique I would say is that I can understand black people wanting to guard their joy and be like, you know what? I don't need to watch no more whiteness. I live too much whiteness in my life to watch a show that just once again shows this. And that's fair. If you're somebody who, want to watch different things and it's a different type of, you're in a different space with it, I say if you're going to watch one of these, what I call, like HBO has this thing I call like white, like horrible white people shows, like Pretty Little Liars, is that Pretty Little Liars? I think it's called Pretty Little, something like that. There's also, what else? Oh, The White Lotus. Which is the thing. I think that's one of the shows. And I think people really like that show. It's called Big Little Lies. My bad. Big Little Lies is the show. Pretty Little Lies is another white problematic show. No, I think it's called Big Little Lies is the show that is on HBO. Another one of those shows with Nicole Kidman or someone white in it that's doing some problematic things. Nicole Kidman's in a lot of stuff doing ridiculous white things. But she's doing her thing though. Shout out to Nicole Kidman. But there's The White Lotus and there's just a bunch of other shows. I think Maid is one of them probably. But I just remember thinking about Secession and yeah, I like it. And I also like their opening credits music. Their opening music that dun, 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 that little score they have is addictive. I really love their like instrumental that opens up their show. And Jeremy Strong is incredible actor. He's playing Kendall Roy, who I have the bias for. Everybody on that show is great. Macaulay Culkin's brother, I think it's Kieran Culkin. He is whoa. Okay, that's the talent. I'm not trying to create no division in the family, but Macaulay Culkin's brother, in Succession, hilarious. He is killing it. Okay. Everybody on that show was great. And everybody on that show is like got like Emmy nominations and stuff. But Jeremy Strong won Best Actor in 2019. He won last year, not during the pandemic. He didn't win this year because the show took a break. Now they're back on. So I think Succession's gonna win a bunch of Emmys. It's giving me Emmy energy. Love the show. Great show. New favorite show on TV. Next up, of course, my Queen Sugar and Impeachment. Impeachment. If you have not been watching it, get on it, man, y'all. It's not too hard. The FX, watch it. Watch it on Hulu. Watch it on FX. Like, it is getting juicy. Hillary done made her appearance. So Edie Falco plays Hillary Clinton, and she's finally made her first initial appearance on the show. But it looked like the next episode is about to get crazy because Bill Clinton's been telling this episode, I think we're on episode 6 now. Bill Clinton is still lying. But I feel like he's going to have to eventually tell the truth. And I think the next episode, he's going to have to admit that he lied. And we still got more episodes to go. It's like a 10-episode series. So I'm like, what happens next? I'm on the edge of my seat. So, no, that's all there. And, just doing my thing. I'm going to a birthday party for a dog. I'm headed out there. That should be fun. Lisa DiPaolo, who's this incredible, fun journalist who's had an entire incredible life story. She shouted me out in a piece that she did for Philly Mag, where she, funny enough, said, "Oh, she was to have lunch with Ernest and Christine Flowers and different people." I say, "Ma'am, me," funny, right? The irony. But yes, so she's having a birthday party for her dog, and I'm gonna go. The dog's name is Joey. And I'm curious to see how that part will play out. We'll find out in the next episode. But until then, as always, thanks for listening and thanks for your support. And as always, be best. Earnestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.